Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. Hello. Today, we're going to talk about something different than I've ever talked about on this channel. And this is going to bridge the new direction I am going. And I say that, but then I've said that before in like coaching containers, and my clients will be like, yeah, no, this isn't new at all. This isn't surprising, whatever. And I think this will be more of a new, clear path for myself. But I think this is like everyone else has seen this coming. I think that will make sense for a lot of you. For some of you, it might not, but if I think for a lot of you, that's that exact phrases that I just gave will probably make a lot of sense. And when I say new direction, I don't mean like a new business direction, right? Like this, that is not that. This is more of like a deepening of what I'm doing here, the work that I'm doing, and really it's a opening door to what I've already been doing inside of my containers. And I have been on this journey now for 10 years, which is insane to look back on the last 10 years and to see all of the things that have happened, that have changed in my life, that have happened in my business, to see the growth, even to look back even on myself 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Like, I don't even recognize who that version of me is. It is such a 360. It's such a different version of me. And for some of you, you've been with me long enough that you've seen a lot of those versions. And for some of you, you've seen recently, seen the old pictures or the old content or the old things. And it's wild to see the side by side. But today, I want to talk about what actually laid the groundwork for this change and what is coming. And I will tell you that I have made this prediction all year, and I still stand 10 toes down on this prediction. It's actually already happening, but we are seeing a mass exodus from entrepreneurship. We are seeing a ton of people, successful people even, people with hundreds of thousands of followers and hundreds of thousands of dollars leave the industry. And this is going to continue. And my prediction is by this time next year, some of your favorite coaches will no longer be in this industry. And I made this prediction earlier this year, and I've like even now I'm like, well, it's already happening, but I'm just it's more crystal clear to me that this is going to continue. There's going to be more and more people that leave the industry. And the reason is, number one of the reasons is because we are ending a 9-year cycle. 2025 closes out a 9-year cycle. 2026 starts a new 9-year cycle. And what happens at the end of our 9-year cycles is a lot of things will go, die, change. People will let go of that are no longer meant to go with them on this new cycle. And so for some people, the last 9 years was a cycle of whatever it was that they learned, that they were meant to learn, their journey of entrepreneurship. And that's part of it. And the other part of it is going to be what we talk about today of like what has actually changed in our industry and what is no longer going to work after this 9-year cycle closes, and the direction that will then now is now opening and will further open over the next year. And then that will be the new direction that the industry goes. And for people who just aren't meant to be on that specific journey, their time is closing. And for the people who are not able or haven't been able to go through exactly what I'm going to talk about today, that journey is going to close for them. And so we're going to see a mass exodus even more of entrepreneurship simply, and the coaching industry and the online industry simply because of this, of exactly what I'm going to talk about today. So let's get into today's episode. In 2021, I had launched my very first group coaching program called Breadwinner Energy Academy. Today, I also have Breadwinner Energy Academy, but it's a totally different program for a different person. It's a different framework. Everything about the offer is completely different. In 2021, when I launched this group coaching container, I launched it to service providers who wanted to get out of the grind, the hustle, and to make 10K months as a service provider. And they wanted to get out of the a lot of the one-to-one work. And so I launched that container. I made 6 figures in that container. And I had a psychic come into that group. I will never forget her. She has totally changed my life. And she told me when you let your freak flag fly, that is when you will create massive success in your business. Once you have done that, success will be yours. And I didn't really know what she meant at the time. And I also want to say that prior to entrepreneurship, or like early entrepreneurship, like 2016, 2017, like a little bit into 2018, I even want to say, I didn't even believe in law of attraction or manifestation, which is crazy for what I'm about to share. It's also crazy if you know me because of how woo I actually am. So I didn't even believe in that. So then in 2021, for her to say, when you let your freak flag fly, that is when you will be super successful. I didn't know what she meant. I was like, I heard her and I was like, okay, more authentic, more me, whatever. But I didn't actually know what she meant. And it was interesting that she was in that container and she was a virtual assistant. But it was interesting she was in that container because there wasn't anyone else in that container that was woo, psychic, spiritual, whatever. Where now my entire ideal client and audience is spiritual women, is healers, is medicine women, is women who have an actual, have been through initiation, have been through death and rebirth to be here to do the work that we're doing. And little did I know that over the next few years, I would go through my own death and rebirth, many of them, my own initiation, my own spiritual awakenings to land me into this very moment of letting my freak flag fly. Like when I think back on that, I'm just like shook. I mean, there were many things that she predicted in my life, like my child moving. There were many, many things she predicted for my life to come true, and they all did. But this one was different because this one was I was not necessarily confused, but I was also just I didn't know what she meant. And I think it was one of those things that you have to experience in order to be like, whoa, holy shit, that was it. And so I am going to crack this door open on today on my own journey of being psychic. And I I feel nervous. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I feel nervous and I knew I was going to do this and I had talked about it. I talked about it all year this year about being psychic, being spiritual, and that I would talk about it at some point. And I just didn't know when. There was not really a right time where it felt like this makes sense to have this conversation right now, you know? And so I didn't want to just have the conversation to have the conversation. I'm very strategic about the things that I do in my business and I want things to have purpose, right? And so I wasn't going to just talk about it for shits and giggles. I knew that there was going to be a moment that this would make sense to have this conversation with you guys, and I would open that door. But I didn't really know when that would happen until now. My grandmother is passing, and my grandmother has been passing away for the last 6, 7 months. And my grandma had lung cancer, and she fought lung cancer, and then she was good, and then it came back. And when it came back as large cell, which is terminal. And that diagnosis happened earlier this year. And for the last 6, 7 months, she has fought, but she's been in the hospital every month. There's been lots of ups and downs. There's been lots of, holy shit, this is it. Holy shit, this is it. It's not it. She's a fighter like no other. And it was the second or third week in October when the doctors told us that she has 2 weeks to 2 months to live. And they did not tell, no one told that to my actual grandma because they didn't want her to give up. Um, and so she had another run with the hospital a couple weeks later, and they decided on hospice. And now she's been on hospice for the last, I don't remember now. I feel like it's been a time. It's been at least 2 or 3 weeks. Um, and last week we thought she was at the end, and now she is finally at the end. And what I did not realize is that through this journey of my grandmother passing, that my psychic channel would become more open. And it's been wild and it's been crazy to experience. And I think that this had to happen before. There's two things going on here. This had to happen for me to truly like see and understand what's going on, like big picture what's going on, and my psychic gifts to be like really in tune. While also on the other hand, it's like I'm seeing things for like our industry and my business and my calling, and they're all blending together. And so this became the most perfect time to have this conversation. And as she's passing over the last week, my psychic channel is just becoming crystal clear. I prior to this would get third eye visuals, and I've gotten them for a long time. Like even as a child, I got them. I just didn't know that that's what they were. And my mom is also a psychic, but my mom is a closet psychic. My mom doesn't tell anybody she's psychic. Um, and I believe that's out of fear. And I do need to give you guys a little backstory here because I'm Native American and my mom's side of the family is white and my mom's dad's side of the family is Native American. And so this is on my mom's side. And growing up, I grew up with my mom and my grandma and them being religious. And I think there's like levels to religion and Christianity specifically. But I think I've shared the story before, but I specifically remember sitting on the back deck of my grandmother's house and telling them about soul contracts and telling them about reincarnation. And they were telling me like, no, this isn't real. This isn't real. Like almost like shame. And that shame and guilt went on many times. And so this is where I've like just hidden so many parts of like what I believe and so many parts of myself because it's always been this like you either believe in God or you're a witch or witchcraft and psychic and spirituality or God and then Christianity. Like I've been surrounded with so much shame and guilt from other people about my own beliefs. And so I just didn't talk about them. And I believe that that also happened to my mother because my mom knows she's psychic. Um, but she hides it. She hides her gifts. She suppresses. And I think that she was looking for acceptance from her mom. So through this journey of my grandmother dying, I've gotten many, many downloads, premonitions, things. And not only now am I seeing like, not only is it just the visuals in my third eye, it's like I'm getting like messages and downloads, like very, very clear messages and downloads. But before these last 2 weeks, I wasn't necessarily trusting those downloads as downloads. But then this last week, I've had some instances with two other psychic women who basically told me what I already knew. And I was like, holy shit, I already knew that because I got that download and I'm not trusting it, right? So the psychicness is coming more online as we speak. And through this journey of losing my grandma and speaking with one of my clients who's a psychic and my own downloads, what is happening is my grandma this last week has totally held on because she's going through her own spiritual awakening. Because my grandma believed her entire life believed in religion, right? And Christianity and what she was taught versus what's real. And as my grandma's been passing and crossing over and her soul's been crossing over, she's told us. She told us for 2 weeks, she's already dead. She's already in heaven. She's already been cremated. She's talked to God. She's talked to Jesus. She told us that. And then there's been this time period of like, why is she not letting go? Why is she suffering? What is she holding on for? And I think that she was holding on for two things. Number one is she's going through a spiritual awakening because what she was taught and what she believed versus what's actually real were not the same thing. And that she had this vision of what death would be like because of her upbringing. And I will tell you that even though she was quote unquote religious and Christian, she didn't actually live by that. And that's going to come into this. And she didn't actually live by that, but she preached that. And I think that she held on because she wanted to, couple things. Number one, the spiritual awakening of like seeing what's real and blending together that like there is a higher power, there is a God. It's just not exactly what she thought. Reincarnation is absolutely real. She confirmed that. And I think she wanted to give some kind of an apology for like that. She felt shame and guilt for the way she lived versus what she preached, but she didn't know any better. And what I realized through this journey is my great grandmother, who was extremely Christian, had to be married to my grandpa from the time she was 16 until the time she died. Went to Bible study, read the Bible every night, taught Bible study. And then there comes my grandma. And my grandma was preached Christianity. It was preached to her and then she preached it to others. She did go to church for a period of time, but she didn't actually walk in alignment with that, you know? She made her mistakes, but she openly made her mistakes in front of us because I think she was paving the way for me and my mom. My mom is also walking a similar path to my grandma, but then my mom created a secondary path of independence from men and creating her own money. And then there's me, completely independent, breadwinner, right? And then completely independent in spirituality, and that I am fully walking the path. And as I was getting a psychic reading from my client about my grandma, something that came up was the tree of life. And lo and behold, this story will come out in another podcast episode because it's still unfolding. But basically, my grandma has laid this foundation for me to run this path. And it was like she was passing the torch. And so as this has come for me, these more downloads have come for me. What I realized, what the psychic told me in 2021 about letting your freak flag fly was not what I thought, right? And it was also not what other people think. It's not like just being authentic, being yourself. It's actually allowing the old versions of you to die so that you can be reborn again. And this, for me, is where I had to go through my own multiple deaths and rebirths in order to get to this place to be able to fully allow myself to be reborn. And I'm currently being reborn, and it's been interesting because I've been through lots of deaths and rebirths in my entire life, but this one is like way more prominent of like a very clear death and rebirth that is leading me to my calling. And you cannot follow your calling as the same version of you that got you to where you are now. You must go through the death and rebirth cycle. It is non-negotiable. If you do not allow the parts of you to die that are not meant to come with you on this journey so that your new self can be reborn, right, into this new version of you, then you will be continuing on the old cycles and the old paths. And when we go through the death and rebirth cycle, we not only let go of older versions of us, we also let go of the versions of us that other people wanted us to be. We let go of needing acceptance from those around us. And I went through a moment of that recently of letting go of acceptance, of wanting to be accepted by my family and allowing myself to say, I just don't believe what you believe in. And if that creates a wedge, it is what it is because I am solidified in my beliefs. I'm very clear in my beliefs and I'm walking in alignment with my beliefs. And it is what it is. And in order to let your freak flag fly, you have to stop fearing losing credibility. You have to stop fearing losing people. Over this last year, I've lost over 3,000 social media followers, thousands of email subscribers, and I've also created a new community of over 400 people. My clients are some of the best clients I've ever worked with. My clients it feels so fun to be around my clients. It feels exciting and I'm lit up and I don't feel judged or shamed. There's no weird energy in the room. It's like we are really feeding off one another. And it's been extremely incredible to be in that space. But that can only be birthed from fully walking the model of the death and the rebirth cycle. So, what is happening as everyone is mass exiting from entrepreneurship? What is actually happening? I'm telling you right now, your favorite coach will not be here by this time next year. It won't be me though. Maybe I'm your favorite coach. It's not me. I'm not leaving. I though am leaving the old versions of me. So there is a death and rebirth cycle that I'm going through, and the versions of me that you guys have once known is no longer coming on this journey with me. And so for some of you, you've already experienced that and you've chosen to stay, and I'm so excited. For some of you, you're new here, and then for others of you, you're going to watch the last remnants of my death and rebirth cycle ending. The next 3 months, I'm fully shedding off the rest of this. I can feel it. And I'm moving fully into my purpose and into my calling. But the truth is, people are exhausted. The influencers, celebrities, like no one cares about influencers or celebrities anymore. No one cares about being famous for being famous. And we're watching literally the fall of influencers and celebrities as we speak. It's part of the cycle. It's part of the ending the new cycle and starting a new cycle. And the new cycle that's beginning for the collective is thought leadership. It's embodied leadership. It's leaders who have depth. It's healers. It's medicine women. It's leaders who've actually been initiated and have lived experience. It's lineage breakers, truth tellers, curse breakers. That is what is taking over moving forward in 2026. And by, again, this time next year, that will have already sunk in. Year one has already begun of this new 9-year cycle. And so we will see a lot of the people leave and a lot of new people emerge. And it's going to be really exciting. People want to be led, coached, mentored, guided by women, by people who've actually walked the walk, who have walked through hell, who have something to learn from their own lived experience. That is your calling. That is your calling. If you're in my world, that is your calling. It's non-negotiable. If you're not leading with your own initiation, your own cycle, your own death and rebirth, that will be the thing that kills your business. And if you do, it will be the thing that leads your calling. It will. What will happen though is you must initiate your own death and rebirth. Here's what I told a lot of clients recently. Some of them who are already going through death and rebirth, but like clawing their way through it. And then some of them are kind of, on the other end versus like there's different versions. Like there's people who are like right in the beginning of a death and rebirth. There's some people that are right in the middle of the void. And then there's people who are like on the end. What I will tell you is death and rebirth, if this is your calling, this is your path, this is what's meant for you, or even if you don't even think it is, death and rebirth will happen for you, whether you initiate it yourself or not. It will happen. You either get to suffer and suffocate in it and claw your way through it and stay in it much longer, or you get to facilitate it on your own because you've chosen your own death and rebirth and you've decided that you're going to let go of everything that's not meant for you and you're going to fully surrender to it, and it will go a lot better and a lot faster. And the more times I've gone through death and rebirth, the more times I've been able to truly understand not only death and rebirth is my calling, is totally my calling. I have my sun eighth house and Scorpio Pluto second house. Like I am literally was born for my own death and rebirths to lead other people's deaths and rebirths. It's like written in my soul contract. That's what I'm here to do. And so I had to experience many, many deaths and rebirths. And those have been physical deaths of other people that I've had to go through. And those have also been metaphorical deaths and rebirths that I've had to go through. Many, many of them. And for a lot of people, they feel like, well, if I do this, it's going to make me incredible. Like, I'm not going to be credible. People are going to like lose trust in me, whatever. Here's the thing is if you walk through your own death and rebirth and you come out on the other side being exactly who you were when you walked in, the same version, the same business, the same ideal client, the same everything, and it has not actually fully changed you at the core of the way that you show up, the way that you lead yourself, I'm not sure that you actually went through death and rebirth with and actually killed off the version of you that couldn't come. It sounds to me like you brought her with you and she wasn't meant to come. And she was not meant to come. And therefore, you must initiate your own death and rebirth because what is coming in 2026 is that people are going to no longer hire people who do not walk in alignment with what they say. People are no longer going to hire people who are not fully embodied in their medicine. People are not going to hire people that have not been initiated through their own death and rebirth cycle. And that's what happens inside the Breadwinner Energy Academy. Your own death and rebirth facilitated by me. You walk through it, you choose it, and you choose that I am going to come out of this on the other side, a totally different version of me, because I'm fully going to be following my calling. I'm going to be an embodied leader in my message, my magic, and we do strategy. We do talk about who you're here to serve and how to build a group coaching program and a framework that comes from your actual initiation, that comes from your path that you walked. But if you don't go through the death and rebirth cycle, you will just keep spinning your wheels inside of what am I supposed to do? What am I here to do? What is my calling? What is my path? Copying other people, scratching and clawing your way into what makes money. The death and rebirth cycle is what actually will allow you to come out on the other side, follow your calling, be so, so clear in every single thing you're meant to do here. The path starts to become clear. When you're in the death and rebirth cycle, you can't even see the path. It is so unclear. And when you walk through it and you come out on the other end, it becomes crystal clear. And what I will tell you is last year, in no way did I ever think this was my calling. Not a shot in hell did I think that this was my calling or my mission. I didn't think that until now. It has become so incredibly clear. The path has been paved and I'm walking it, and it's scary. It is terrifying. And in the next upcoming episodes, I'm going to talk more about the grief that I'm experiencing, my own death and rebirth cycle, what this means for you. And right now, Breadwinner Energy Academy is 50% off. So you can join for only $1,000 for 1 year or 1,100 or 111 a month. And that price is going to double at the end of December. This is your chance to fully kill it off before 2026 starts. Are you in? I will see you inside. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you on the next episode.